everybody, and welcome to today's hobby live stream. I see that there's plenty of you already in chat. Hello, Oliver, Brad's Trains, I, David Muscle, Pavman, and KRD Klein. Hello, and Sean. Hello, welcome, everybody. Good. All right, looks like it's switched over. You guys are seeing me. Excellent. Hello, everybody. Hope we're all doing okay. Hey! There we go. I see you. I see you easier now. I couldn't see you before, and I was like, why does my screen look so weird? What is wrong with OBS today in my stream setup? And then I realized, oh, right, I had to change up first. My sound off? Hold on. I'm on the snowball. You should hear me. Hello. Oh, yes, that is something I definitely did. Hold on one moment. Nope. All right, there we go. We should be much better now. Hopefully I am much louder. Sorry for keeping the music up. I had it up when we were getting started on streaming, and that's the one thing I forgot to do. You caught me. So sorry about that, but now everybody can hear me. Is it still drowning me out? Or is it better? I'll lower it even further. Let me know. Is it good now? There we go. Okay, good. Excellent. Perfect. So glad that we're good now. Hello, everybody. Hello, happy ORKtober. That's right. You guys thought I forgot, didn't you? Well, the truth is, I mean, I hadn't really forgotten, but I had forgotten to, like, set up time to do something with orcs this October. But we have found time today. Sorry for this being a little bit later in the evening, but honestly, there's plenty of you here ready to hang out, so it seems to have worked out for everybody. Now, I have some orcs we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen these guys in almost a year. I'm actually genuinely a little ashamed to say. Here's the deal. We're going to try working on these Kromlech orcs. Sean, thank you so much for the $5. You are awesome. Thank you so much. I want to work on these guys. I want to actually paint some orcs. I need to warm myself up for orkiness as well, because on Hobby Vices and Dan's channel on Twitch, I don't remember actually, I think it's called Hero Brush Hour on Twitch, but I don't know specifically. I'm a terrible guest. I'm so sorry. But I'm going to be on the Hero Brush Hour, and I'm going to challenge Dan to painting some orcs. Well, painting a orc, because we have an hour. If you guys have never done Hero Brush Hour, you're not familiar with it. Basically, it's an hour-long challenge where I believe it happens on Twitch on like one of their channels. I'm just being invited on as a guest, but I challenge one of the two of them to a paint-off, basically, and from my understanding, whoever's there in chat can spend their channel points to make us as the painters have to do things to distract us from painting the thing we're meant to paint. So this is going to go super great for Dan. He's going to totally win, because I'm probably going to be distracted anyways. You guys know me. I get super distracted just talking, so I don't know how well this is going to go, but because it's not my stream and I'm not specifically chatting with y'all, perhaps it'll be easier and I can actually focus on my orc, and maybe I will kick butt. But I don't know. I'm really excited, though. It's something that I've seen, like, Orion's Belt Minis do. Stephanie from Orion's Belt Minis do a few times, and I was like, you know what? Dan's asked me a couple of times, and why not? Why not give it a shot? I believe it's going to be on November 7th. Let me double check something really quick. I believe it's the 7th. It's on a Tuesday. That I know for certain. It's on a Tuesday, because that's when they always do their stuff. And yes, I believe it'll be, yep, Heroes Brush Hour. It's on my calendar. So it'll be on Tuesday, and for my time, it starts at 7 Pacific Standard Time. I believe it's at like 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or something like that, because I think that's where they are. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's where we're going. Dim! Do you not, did you quit your job? Also, hello everybody. Just to everybody who's popped in since I started talking. Let's get started. So I'm gonna set my boys who are partially painted already aside because there's a few things I want to touch up on them. Like this guy specifically, I am not 100% satisfied. If it would focus, please, thank you. I'm not 100% satisfied with the opacity of this blue. I think I want to put one more layer of Aethermatic blue over top of it because I believe that's what I did on this particular dude's shirt. And then I did notice a little bit on him, on one of the shoulders. Either I've touched, no, you guys can't see him, hold on. I'm pretty sure that I've just like handled him slightly too much in between paint sessions, and I've rubbed off a tiny amount of paint, and or because it's just on this very edge, like I didn't notice it before, but it's bothering me because I can see it now every time I look at him. So we're gonna change and touch that up. But I think first, I've got these two boys that basically don't have a whole lot going on, and I want to jump straight into orc fleshes. So, which sounds very weird now that I've said it out loud. I'm sorry, I apologize. But I want to paint their flesh right now. It's happening. So one of them is going to just get the Mantis Warrior green treatment. I think that's great. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, Will T. Hope you have a great time and you're enjoying yourself. Hey, congratulations, Dim. That's awesome. Well, I mean, be careful with selling the plasma. Don't overdo it. Don't get yourself like I know you people can get like really woozy and shit from selling too much plasma too quickly because the US is like notoriously like, just who cares? Do it every 3 days or whatever. Where other countries are like, you can only do this every 2 weeks. So just be careful. But awesome about the offers from both the fire department and the police department. That's great. So I hope one of them, like, have you decided which one you're taking? That's awesome. All right, paint. So I think this boy's gonna be my experimental boy that's gonna get possibly gut ripper flesh. So we're gonna start with our not experimental boy and go ahead and paint him in the Mantis Warrior green because that's just like sort of my go-to at this point for orc flesh. And it works really well. And this will be a good warm-up for the challenge that I was talking about for November 7th. And then I also get to start thinking about painting up the model that I was sent by Mini Wargaming Dave, which is going to be end up doing in my High Fleet Maleficent colors, which I'm really excited to do. Which will also involve some Mantis Warrior green, actually. I love this color. It's such a good color. All right, let's get started. We get a little bit of this on my palette. Got a fresh one because my other one was so like just covered in a bunch of other colors. Let's get a little bit of water, and I think I want a little bit more paint too. So what has everybody been up to this week so far? Doing anything fun? Do you got anything planned for this weekend for Halloween? Because I assume for a lot of folks, since Halloween is on... Please stop focusing on my hand and start... There we go, focusing on the miniature. Since Halloween is on Tuesday this year, I imagine a lot of people are going to be doing parties and celebrations over the weekend. So anybody got some fun ideas for what they're doing? Nice. Well, I hope the fire department one works out for you then, because that would be great. I know for me, short commutes are a huge factor whenever I was looking for like normal work, non-influencer work. Because oh boy, do I dislike a commute. I thankfully have been very lucky throughout my life and had very short commutes most of the time. But I really do. That's like one of my major factors when choosing a job. But I've known some people who have just like insane commutes and I don't know how they do it. I'm always very impressed. Like, when people tell me, they're like, yeah, my commute's an hour, I'm like, what? I could not do that. Oh, you know, I realized that this is even a warm-up technically for Dave's miniature as well, because Kromlech is all resin, and Dave's miniature is in resin, so ha 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 ha. I'm prepping for 2 different projects. Sick. I'm proud of myself. The things that make me proud. Whoa. Okay, everything's fine. I'm just wildly flailing my brush around. They just ignore me. Do you have like an undershirt on? Is that what you're implying there? Or is that supposed to be... Nope, I just didn't paint that. That's cool, that's cool. Okay, I think we got his delts and everything on the underside of his arm. We might do one more layer. It's amazing to me how, like, much more yellow sometimes Mantis Warrior Green becomes, even though it goes down actually quite green. Ooh, Dim, I could not. I mean, well, I guess maybe for refugees, but like, maybe if it was like a humanitarian thing, I could do it. But I don't know if for like a non-humanitarian reason I could do a 2-hour commute. That is impressive. Ooh, horror movies is a great Halloween plan. Love to see it. Oh, I just realized I have 0 drinks for myself. That is not going to stand. I will, my throat's already feeling slightly like dried out and parched. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna go grab myself some water and probably a soda too. Let's be honest. Be right back. I'm not gonna bother switching you guys over. I am going to mute my mic real quick and I'll be right back, everybody. I am back. Ooh, a Halloween costume karaoke night? That sounds super fun. What is happening here? Hold on. I'm stuck in my... I had rolled my chair up into the cord of my headphones, and that would not stand. I would have probably pulled them out of my computer and then cried because I would have broken something, and it just would have been terrible. I'm an idiot. I don't have any paper towels. Fucking... Why am I like this? Hold on. I'm one of those people that I'm pretty sure if my head wasn't actually physically attached to the rest of my body and I had to like manually attach it every morning or something, I'd forget it. Like that would be me. That's just it, me in a nutshell. How are you guys doing? Are we all good? Are we all lovely? Having a great time? Oh my goodness. All right, let's actually get back to painting this orc, which is really what we're here to do, because it's Orktober. October is one of my favorite months, but also one of my least favorite months because I feel like I never really get to do all the October themed things that I want to because I end up having just so much like other shit happen and like prep for just seasonal stuff, like the normal seasonal stuff. And this has like been the case both since working in retail and during working in retail. Different reasons why, but like it's always like this upcoming season just gets so damn busy, and I don't feel like I miss when I got to enjoy October more. I'm lamentful. I am gonna try to watch Hocus Pocus though. That is gonna be one of my plans, and thankfully my neighborhood is doing some trick-or-treating events, so I will get to sugar up all of the neighborhood kids, which I do enjoy. I got to do that last year. This year I've gone all out, and because I could not find any of the Mr. Beast chocolates, unfortunately, like all his Feastables, I could not find them. And like I've checked CVS, which I think is where they're supposed to be, and like Walmart, and I've not found them in either place, unfortunately. I don't know if they just haven't got them in, or if they just sold out immediately, or if they're only selling them online, perhaps. I haven't actually checked there, but physically in store I have not found them. So instead I just bought full candy bars. I just bought full size, normal candy bars. Not candy bars, though. What I got is I got, like, Skittles and Starbursts, and then, M&Ms. Like, a couple different styles of M&Ms. For those that can have peanuts versus non. And that is what I am giving to the children of my neighborhood. I'm probably gonna have to go out and buy, like, one more thing of candy. I'm gonna see if I can actually find some candy bars and maybe get some like Hershey's. Not that I actually enjoy Hershey's chocolate, but children don't know better, and parents just don't want their kids getting sugared super a lot, and I want to provide sugar, so I just figured, you know what, screw it, get a full chocolate bar and let them just have at it. Oh yeah, no, I'm sure the kids are gonna absolutely love me. The ones that actually eat candy. I live in a weird neighborhood that, it's not weird. I just live in a very health-conscious neighborhood where the families don't always let their kids have candy. And that's actually one of the reasons that I decided to go with the full-size candy bars, actually. Is because in the past, some of the parents, like, I got the smaller stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, take a lot. Because take a handful. I have plenty. Because I had bought, like, 6 bags of just like normal trick-or-treat size candy bars, and some parents were like, no, you can only take 1. So this year I was like, fine, if they can only take 1, then they can only take 1 full-size candy bar, and now they're forced to have to like split it. or just let their kid eat the entire thing and be sugar. That'll be their sugar intake for probably like the next week, because a lot of these parents are very strict about like what their kids eat. But I will at least have done my duty on Hallow's Eve to give some child a sugar rush. That's the goal, right, of this holiday, is to sugar children. Oh my god, I love that, Dim. That sounds great. Nemeth, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just... I don't really like how perverse you like to be on chat, so I'm gonna time you out, because I'm kind of tired of you doing it every single time. Actually, I'm not even timing you out. I think I'm just gonna ban you. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna put you in timeout right now. When you come back in like 10 minutes, don't be this way, because I'm tired of it. Stop being that way in chat. All right, there we go. This ain't the place for that. If you guys want to chat that way, you can find the link to the appropriate places in my link tree. But on YouTube, we're here to talk about hobby and fun stuff and Halloween. Yeah, see, like, I normally tell them to do a handful of the minis as well. Like, I'm like, I've got plenty of these. They're pretty inexpensive. Go ahead. And kids' hands are generally, like, especially, like, little kids, their hands are small. So, like, they still only end up getting, like, one or two because they have tiny little fingers that can't grip things well. They haven't learned the true dexterity of a rogue yet, okay? And so, like, just let them get a handful. But no, these parents are really strict. So, since they can only get one... I'm giving them the big candies. That is the plan. Indeed. Exactly. Especially since, just like, I will admit right now, I'm just not in the mood. So I don't even want to deal with it. There we go. I love the hand sculpts on the Kromlech minis. They have such good, I mean, very arthritic looking hands, to be honest, but it really makes them stand out, and I just think there's some nice grooves in there, and they just look great. Also, I really do continue to love the crap out of this green. It's so brilliant. I'm really looking forward to trying the Fanatic, which, by the way, I can't not think of some of my advertising, because I use only Fanatics as like an ad for all the spicy stuff. And so when I saw the war paint Fanatic, I was like, but regardless, I'm actually really looking forward to trying out that paint. It genuinely is it moves the way that I feel like acrylics should move. Contrast paint and speed paints move in the way that I think inks and watercolor paints should move, and then the way that the Fanatics paint moves is the way that I think acrylics should move. So I'm really excited to give them a try, see how they work. And yeah, I don't know. I wish that Army Painter had reached out to me for those ones. They reached out to me briefly for the first wave of speed paints. I guess maybe they didn't like my review. To be fair, the first run of the speed paints wasn't the most impressive. And their formula got better with Wave 2, so... Regardless, it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna just buy them and try them out. And it'll be pretty awesome. At least that's my hope. Nice. I don't know if I've tried the new Army Painter Metallics. Like, is this the contrast ones, or is this the, like, or is it an opaque? Right, exactly, the salamander. They are both bony and meaty. But yeah, arthritic is the way that I would describe that, because I feel like you get, like, they have working man's hands. They've used them a lot. Carrying guns and choppas around and absolutely maiming people. That is the orc way. They gotta run in the wah. See, I hear that a lot, Dim, and I don't, like, I mean, obviously some people just really don't like them. I mean, I've never had a super negative experience with them. But I get that. Like, I'm not overly enthusiastic about their standard war paints. I use some of them fairly consistently, but it's mostly their black and their white. And outside of that, I actually do predominantly use, I was looking at my collection of war paints over there. I was gonna say, and outside of that, I predominantly use their primers. Like, I really like the Army Painters primers. I use a lot of their hobby tools. I use a lot of their, like, tufting and grasses and those kinds of materials. And then I use their speed paints. But I don't actually use their war paints very often, which is why with the Fanatics line, I was really impressed with the footage that we were seeing and even that first video, because to me, it just, again, I'm one of those people that, like, in my head, paint flows and moves off of a brush a particular way. Like, there is, maybe it's just because of my extensive, like, art classes throughout, like, growing up and just watching a lot of professionals in specifically, like, animation and illustration and those kinds of mediums move paint around a canvas or on paper, etc. And so in my head, there was always I always had this, like, expectation of what it should look like when a brush and paint is flowing properly off of it in, like, a professional's hand. And to me, what we have seen of the War Paint Fanatic line, at least in that very first promo video where they're just dragging the colors across the bases to do, like, a strip, to me, that is visually what I've always imagined it looking like. And so I'm gonna give it a try. I'm optimistic. I feel like, at least recently, Army Painter has seemingly been trying to change people's opinion of them, because I think a lot of people do have this negative experience with some of their paints. And again, I'm not quite sure, like, I don't quite get where that's coming from, but I'm not denying that it happens, because obviously it must. You are not the first person I've heard say that. I'm sure you will not be the last person I hear say that. And so yeah, it's just one of those things of, like, I feel like Army Painter's really trying to change their reputation a bit. Let's thin this down a little bit and do a glaze of a second coat over on this side, because we did that on the other side. Just kind of want to buff up that green, knock back that yellow tone a little bit. All right, there we go. And I think his hand is looking fine. Maybe do the backside one more time, make sure we got all of that. Oh, yep, there's where we missed. Okay. I think we are good now. There we go. Okay, let's do the other hand now. The nice thing is about, because these guys all have really big backpacks because they're supposed to be pirate orcs, they have handhelds for me to grip onto so that I don't have to, like, touch where I'm painting currently, which is fantastic, honestly. Alright, I do have a little bit of... Ooh, I have some cleanup, actually, I need to do. I had not realized. I also have some pooling happening, so let me just deal with the pooling first, and then we'll deal with the cleanup. A little dark in the recesses. Like, I want them to be green, but I don't want them to look like they got stuff growing on them. I mean, they are fungus, so in theory they could have stuff growing on them, but I don't want them to look that way. And if they did have stuff growing on them, I would want it to look like actual cool mycelium instead of just globs of green paint that dried in a glob. Okay. I need some wraithbone. I think this is... Nope. Oh, maybe here? Yeah! I found it! Go me. Get some paint on the palette, stick it straight into one of those little droplets that I dripped onto my palette because my water is right next to it. And there's like a tiny, I don't know if you guys can see it. I mean, you definitely can't when it's not in focus like that. Oh yeah, you can. Okay, you see the tiny amount of, like, and by tiny I mean quite a bit amount of blue right there on his hand? Well, we need to get rid of that. And I was really not paying attention when I was painting his pants, apparently. Well, to be fair, that's why we painted the pants first. Actually, while I've got this paint on here, let's get rid of some of the touch-up that we need to do around the blue. I don't know what color I want to make this patch. Do you think I should do it as a different blue tone to make it go with the, like, make it look like he grabbed a different jean color? You are forgiven, Nemeth. Just don't do it again. There's a specific place for that kind of behavior. This is not the place. All right. Now, do you guys think I should make this patch a, like, fun, bright color, or do you think I should make it another blue tone to make it just look like he grabbed whatever the closest, like, jean color tone was that he had? What do you think? Sean, it can be easy, I promise. Contrast paint actually makes it quite easy. Like, all of this green work, I didn't actually do anything except gently spread it around with my brush. And you can definitely do that. You are completely capable of moving paint around with a brush and just making sure that it doesn't overly pool, and then you get this gorgeous, like, green color tone, and you too can paint fun orcs. Different colors? Okay. Alright, I do like that idea. Maybe we do something like, maybe red. Maybe that's where I can bring in some red. So originally, and I still want to stick to this, but my idea with this was, this is the, he has the captain's hat, as you can see. Clearly, he is a captain. So I didn't want anybody else to have as much red on them as my captain did, because I gave him a really, really bold red jacket. But I fucking love the way that this jacket looks against this green flesh. So I want to use more of it. So I think the way that I'm going to get away with that is I'm going to give him a green or a red patch. That's what we're going to do on that particular... No. Not deep purple. That is a good option. Maybe we'll do ooh, maybe we'll do this guy, because he's a little bit, like, maybe we'll do this guy's jacket in purple. That might be fun, because he's got, like, a big purple like jacket, we could do the like that all in purple, and that'd allow me to use a lot more of the color. But I think for this guy, I think that's where I'm gonna throw the red in. Is I think we're gonna put some red there because I want it to be a smaller amount of red. Like I still want my captain to have the majority red on him, but I think it's okay if some of his like bros have some because they're like, well, I gotta go faster, boss. You know, gotta go fast. So there we go. I think that works. That's true. Oh my gosh, you're right. You know, I hadn't actually thought of that, but you're right. Every pair of blue jeans would be technically lucky pants for orcs. My entire crew is not wearing blue jeans. The captain is, and our bro here is. But these guys, I mean, these guys have blue jackets, so technically, I don't know. How do orcs feel about like? I don't actually know, canonically, in orc lore. Okay, explain it to me. I'm gonna hold on. I need to be dramatic and go live full screen. Okay, I need you to explain it to me. In orc lore, is it all shades of blue, regardless of what color blue it is considered lucky, or is it like specifically, I've looted a space, like an ultramarine blue thing, and that, like, shade of blue is lucky? Or, like, would the teal blue color tone versus a, like, deep navy blue, would those be equally lucky? Or would the lighter one be a little less lucky? Like, it's still lucky because it's blue in it, but it's not as potent of luck as, like, the deep blues are? Like, how does it work? Do they have... Is there, like, an orc Bible or something that I can read that tells me the etymology is not the correct word. What is it when you derive meaning from colors? I don't know what it's called, but regardless, you guys understand what I'm asking, right? It's all blues? I don't know. I assume so. Like, I imagine that if orcs were to, for some reason, need to team up with Space Marines, they might enjoy teaming up at least with, like... Well, I guess it depends on their persuasion and what type of orc they are. But if you are a sneaky inclined orc clan, then you might enjoy running with, like, Ultramarines or, hell, even the Crimson Fists, because they have a deep blue, so they'd be lucky, as well as having the super fast red punchy fist. So, like, you know, if they're really key and focused on, like, their color iconography, then possibly. You know what? I bet that would happen. You know, you're absolutely right. I bet that happens with all the colors. Like, which one is actually the shade of red that will make you go the fastest? What shade of purple makes you the sneakiest? What shade of blue makes you the luckiest? Is there other shades? I don't actually know. Is it those three predominantly? Purple, blue, red? I don't specifically recall in orc lore, like, orange being anything off the top of my head. And yellow? I know yellow is... Oh, is yellow... No, yellow is not speed, because red is speed. Yellow is used a lot by some of the orc clans, but I don't know if it means anything. I think it's a good headcanon, Oliver. I think it's a really good headcanon. Alright. We're waffling. We're being distracted. This is not good practice for my upcoming, like, competition. Where I'll only have an hour to do this. To be fair, I think I'm going to end up painting some Beast Nagas instead of these Kromlech orcs, because they like to work with the GW models, and I'm like, that's fine with me. I have plenty of Games Workshop models. And I honestly think the Games Workshop ones are slightly less... Well, they're definitely less clothed, so there will be less for me to paint on those ones than this Kromlech boy. Like, honestly, these are some of the most clothed orcs outside of the really heavily armored guys I guess I've seen in a while. Let's make sure to get the underside of his hand, but careful not to get it on his pants. That would be bad, and I would be sad, and then probably mad. And I can't think of any other words to rhyme with that to continue the sentence. I'm sorry, I tried to be a poet for you. You know who's actually quite a good poet? Luke Owens' wife. She has an Instagram page that I can't remember the name of. I will look it up in a second. Something Scribbles, I think. And I like reading her poems. And since I know a lot of you are fans of the Russell Talk and Luke and all of them, I figured I'd give her a plug because honestly, I really do actually like her stuff. Yellow is more DACA. Okay. Wait, really? The purple, the sneaky one, is more of a meme than it is actually true? I didn't know that. I thought purple was canonically like symbolize sneak for them. Because isn't there? I thought there were, I thought there was a clan that used purple a lot. Do they actually, is that what it's called, Charlie? Do they call it the color grimoire? Because that's hilarious. How very, witchy of them. I guess they have weird boys, though. That makes sense. Oh my god, is that where it originally stemmed from? The weird boys making shit up and then the orcs just believing it, so it worked? I guess that's the point, though. So, I guess the color, what shade of blue and all this stuff that we were talking about earlier wouldn't matter because, the whole thing that makes any of this symbolism work for them is specifically their belief in it. So as long as they believe the blue is the lucky blue, then it would be a lucky blue, right? They just gotta believe hard enough. Question is, can they believe hard enough? My boys can. And if they don't, we dispose of them. No, I'm kidding. I love all of my boys equally. That's why I send them all to the WAAAAGHH to die. Alright, I think his hand's looking good. I'm just kind of being fiddly at this point. Let's paint your beautiful face. Is there anywhere else on your bod that we would see? Oh, and your chest. I don't... They always make it very difficult to get to their chests to paint. It's very upsetting. I guess I could have left his gun off, but that would have required forethought, and we don't do that here. Alright, let's get it focused. Thankfully, he also has a gigantic necklace medallion thingy-madoodle, which I am definitely going to make gold. Alright, so that's fine, because if we get stuff on the jacket, I don't really care. We'll be able to clean that up. Same with the medallion. This is just kind of annoying because it's so recessed. There we go. I think we got it into the depths of his deep V. This orc has a very deep, deep V. Alright, and then it's a very impressive medallion you have there. I did not clean up your chin, boy. Ooh. Okay, well, everybody, let me finish painting his neck, and then I'm gonna do actually some filing and then some repriming because I left a big chunk of sprue. That's the word I'm looking for. On his chin. Nice. Well, I hope that you do end up picking up some painting tips. I don't know if it's really funny because like at this point with the contrast paint, because of how well I just think it does its job, I mean, I guess I'm specifically trying to control it and move it and direct it very specifically, but I feel like the paint itself is doing most of the work for me when it comes to actually making the model look cool because it just settles so well. I'm a little bummed because one of the things, I mean, it's not actually a bummer, but I wish that I could grisaille prime for the orc that I'm going to be painting on Hero Brush Hour, but they specifically called out that that is against the rules. It must be primed in one color. And I'm like, fine. I mean, I can do that. That's easy, but like, I did really kind of want to grisaille one of them. I've never done that on any of my orcs though, so it would make the orc probably stand out, but I just think it would make the orc look more impressive in the finished product because I think grisailles in general, like that kind of priming method does tend to do that in my personal opinion at this point. I've done it enough where I'm like, all right, cool, I understand the appeal of this. I'm still finding like how far I can push my whites and still get the really like good effect that I like, but I am enjoying it a lot. Also, I do agree. I think red and green is a good combination too. Very Christmassy though. So it's something where I gotta be careful sometimes using it because that is somewhere immediately that my brain will go of like, oh, I've just painted something very seasonal. Whoops. But that's why I like using this sort of yellowy green color tone for these orcs because then I think, and then this like really deep red. Because then it looks a little less Christmassy to me. I do think that looks really good. Alright, also, I noticed when I picked him up, you're right, you're not actually attached to this base. That's why you wobbled. I was like, why are you wobbling? And I thought maybe the stem of the banner that I put on his back had possibly busted or something. And nope, that's not it. He was just not attached to his... Yep, yeah, that's very true. That is very true. Right. We need to file. That's what I'm doing. I was like, what am I there was something specific I needed to do. I think this will be fine. Let's hold you in a place where we won't touch any of the green wet paint. Let's just shave that down, please, because you have, I mean, you already have a gigantic, humongo chin. You don't need a little bit of sprue sticking off to make it look even bigger. Terrible, terrible cleanup. All right, there we go. Let's get a bit more Wraithbone out. Oh, well, thank you, Gavin. I appreciate that. I mean, I've been painting for a couple years now. I'd like to believe I know what I'm doing at this point. But I always, like, I have never not felt nervous going into, like, a paint job that I've done. Like, regardless of whether or not it's been one where I've been painting live on stream, or I did it for a tutorial, or even if I've just, like, painted it for myself. For the most part, like, I just don't always feel that confident going into it. Because I, like, when I was in college, for example, I sucked at coloring. And I mean that, like, literally in the sense that I took, like, I went to school to specifically learn how to be a comic book artist. And one of my, like, classes was literally coloring for comics. And I was so bad at it. Like, I was just so bad. Like, my color mixing was terrible. my color theory class, which was another entirely separate class that I had to take, I loathed because the professor was just boring as sin, and I was a, like, pretentious, impotent young artist who thought I already knew everything to know about color because I had been taking 4 years of art classes in high school, and I was like, we've gone over color theory, good lord. And so I was just like, I'm over this, whatever. And so I never really had confidence in my color choices that I would make when it came to mixing colors or even putting them next to each other, because my past experiences had just been very lackluster, and I just did not have the confidence. So until starting the channel and actually painting more miniatures, I actually did not have any confidence with doing any of this. I still have only, like, moderate confidence in what I'm doing and being able to actually speak to it, but part of one of the things that I want to do to, like, be able to improve myself and, like, help with my mental health and just all of those things was overcome that fear of not feeling like I could speak to these things and actually give advice. So it's been a weird challenge, and I'm sorry this got really, like, kind of heavy. Not, like, heavy, but, like, I don't know, I feel like we're getting deep. Oh my god, still life classes were... See, those ones weren't as bad for me because at least then I was, like, drawing and, like, I felt like I was improving. In my color theory class, like, literally the professor had every single fucking assignment. Okay, every single project was paint various mixes of colors. Like, he would give us a lesson about, like, analogous color schemes or complementary color schemes, and all we were ever assigned to do until the very last fucking project was paint them in swatches. So, like, we were painting them in giant squares reduced down into smaller squares, and so it was a lot of, like, pointillism looking shit because it was all just, like, in these swatches. Like, everything was done in swatches, and I hated it so much because it was so boring. And it was really unfun. Like, I just did not care. And I wish I had paid more attention in that class. I wish the teacher had been better so that I could actually... Greetings, Morgan. Welcome. Do you prefer to go by Morgan Doy or D-O-Y? I don't know if it's pronounced Doy or D-O-Y. Ronnie or Mugen Sprite Master? Which would you prefer to be called? I'm not going to say all of them every time. It was really bad, Andy. It sounds as boring and dull, and imagine an entire semester of this. Or, sorry, entire quarter. Because we didn't do it in semesters. My college did it in quarters. So, like, imagine 8 weeks. 8 weeks of painting squares. God! It was the worst. Like, oh my god, I still have terrible flashbacks. Like, every time I think about it, it enrages me because it was just so... Like, I understand, like, thinking back to some of the lessons, I'm like, I get... It's not like the information he wasn't giving wasn't useful, but I was so disinterested in paying attention because I knew the boringness that was going to, like, and I was doing this in, like, my first year of college. This was like a 101 level class. So it was in my freshman year when I wanted to, like, get straight into my core studies. Like, I wanted to jump straight into the comic book stuff. I didn't want to deal with all the foundation bullshit. And, like, I think I was, like, I had just turned 18. So I was just impatient and young and stupid and didn't want to be in this class that I thought was wasting my time and then made me paint squares. But secretly, I still just, like, it does give me PTSD. I was so glad when I was out of that class. Let's just put it that way. And I'm pretty sure I gave the professor, like, I don't remember what the website was that we used, but essentially imagine, like, Glassdoor, but for professors. And I'm pretty sure I gave him like a shit rating because I was like, all I did was paint squares. So it's been my complaint for like the entire time. Thank you. Yes, no one ever asked me to paint squares. Hello, can you please paint these swatches? No. I would actually be fine painting them now, but like, God, at the time though, I was just did not want to. I was like, this is dumb and I hate everything. Why am I wasting like thousands of dollars to paint squares? Why am I accumulating student loans for this? That's the real question I ask myself. But hey, it must have led to something, right? Because I know what I'm doing now. It didn't. I mean, it did. But I also know what I'm doing now because I practice a lot. Oh, Sean, thank you for the PTSD fund. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. For my therapy, as I talk to a therapist about my square trauma. Alright, let's get the underside of your chin, please. There we go. Yes. Yes, good. Alright, we'll do some cleanup on the ears because he's got some earrings that we'll definitely want to make gold. Gold! This makes me think of the Prospector from, what is that card game? Inscription. I knew I'd get my brain there eventually. I just had to go back to, like, who is it, Markiplier's playthrough? Of the Prospector from Inscription. Which, if you guys have not checked out, it's a really fucking great game. There's a lot of lore, if you're into that. I also think there was, like, a really cool, like, ARG event tied to it as well, which is pretty rad. I think that's kind of the, I don't remember who designed the game, but I think that's sort of that designer's jam. Like, he really likes doing that kind of thing. Like, Kuroneko as in the Monogatari short that's about... Or is that something else? No, sorry, that's Bakeneko. Or Bakeneko. If you guys want a really good... This is totally kind of tangentially related to what Dim is talking about. If you guys want a really good sort of odd but beautifully animated anime that is all about various Japanese horror tales. One, there's a series called Ayakashi Horror Tales that is done in a bunch of different styles, kind of a la the Animatrix, if you guys have ever watched that, where they brought in a bunch of different artists to all do basically different stories of Japanese horror. The one that ended up getting, I don't know if it was specifically originally a contest or if they just like had one do like supremely well and they ended up building into another series with it. But I think it might have been a contest. Was one that was specifically called Bakemonogatari, or Bakeneko Monogatari, I think is what it was called, or something like that. But basically, it translated, I think, to of like the Tale of the Demon Cat. And if you're not familiar with the tale from Japanese like lore, and I am not going to get it one for one, so do not quote me on this. But the gist of it is that there was this cat that lived at the palace with, I think, like the son of the king, and the king like basically went crazy, killed both, I think, the son and the cat, but in trauma, their souls bonded, and they ended up haunting, like, I think, the king, or something like that. That is the gist, roughly. Very roughly. Extremely roughly. Let me be very clear, extremely roughly, of the story. there's a really good retelling of it, beautifully animated, with the Medicine Seller in Ayakashi Horror Tales. The Medicine Seller ended up getting a spin-off series of that ended up going for, I think, like, I don't remember how many episodes it was specifically. It's a shorter series, so I want to say it's in like that 11 to like 18 range of episodes, possibly even shorter. It might be like closer to 8 episodes or something like that. And it ended up being called, hold on. I have forgotten the name of it, and I'm ashamed of myself, so let me just look that up real quick. Because, what is, is it just Mononoke? Yeah, okay, so it ended up being, that's why it was throwing me off, because it's a very simple name. So it ended up being Mononoke is the name of the series, and it basically follows the Medicine Seller, and then he goes and he deals with a whole bunch of different, like, Japanese horror, and it's really, really good, but the thing that I like about it is the animation style is done a la sliding paper doors. So the way everything moves, the way they flip, and all of the patterns and designs in the series are just gorgeous, and they incorporate it really well into the tales that they're telling. So there's like one in particular that involves like unborn children and like demons based off of unborn children. So awesome. And like it's gorgeously illustrated. So if you want a really like beautiful, colorful Halloween themed thing to watch that is not specifically like stabby horror, but like is more mysticism, spiritual horror, Mononoke is great. Ooh, Sean, that sounds awesome. Ah, okay. I don't know if I'm familiar with that one. Kuroneko. I'll have to look that up. I'm a big fan of J-horror, but I haven't kept up with a lot of stuff, and I'm not like super well versed. I am a basic bitch, and I do like the original Grudge a lot. Great, like both of them. There's a Korean horror film actually called like The Maids, is I think what it translated to, that was really good. They actually made a an English adaptation of it that I don't remember the name of, that I thought was fine, but I think got bad reviews, so I don't think it did super well. Hello, Aaron! Welcome to the stream! Glad you're able to make it. I should probably continue painting instead of just talking about horror films and, well, or horror anime. But yeah, check out Mononoke or Ayakashi Horror Tales. I think both are great. Highly would recommend. Okay, his face is looking good. I'm gonna get a little bit of paint out of his eyes because they're a little they're recessed, but I don't want to completely overload them. Let's pull a little bit of paint around here. Move that just to not have it build up too much, and the same thing in the ear. Okay, cool. I think we're looking good. I'm not seeing anything that looks like it needs more. So I'm going to set him aside for right now, and I want to bring this boy over because I think for this lad, I want to try Gut Ripper Flesh and just see what that looks like by itself, pure and simple. Oh, Deadbeat Dylan, I'm so glad that you are enjoying yourself. We're gonna need to shake this for a little bit. Does Remy watch them, or does she end up, sorry. He, right? She, he, I can't remember now if Remy is a boy or a girl, and I feel terrible about it. But I've completely, does your dog watch the trains, or does your dog, like walk with the trains? Or does she completely, or does the dog leave them alone? And then also please tell me I can't remember the gender of your dog, and I don't want to accidentally misgender Remy. That would be terrible. So please remind me, because I've forgotten. I want to say boy. She. Damn it, I was wrong. Okay, Remy. Right, she's a good girl. Okay, that'll be easy for me to remember. She's a good girl. Does she like them? Does she walk with them? Does she, like, not give a shit about them? Or is she, like... Obviously, she doesn't mess with them in a negative way. But does she mess with them in a cute doggo way? Because my cats would be freaked out by them, but eventually, like Jack, the boy cat, he would probably try to attack it. If we put, like, trains down. I'm actually kind of curious specifically about that. Eventually, I want to get one of the Lego trains and set that up. And see what he does. Because I think that could be fun. Am I going to hate this? Possibly. We'll find out. We'll find out together. I don't immediately hate it. But it's so much softer than what I've done before on my boys. They're so much more bold. I wonder what Bealton Green would look like over this. Maybe I don't know. I feel like it needs a smidge of a punch in the recesses. We'll see. I need to give it an opportunity to dry, first of all. Like, fully. I am looking at it wet. And I don't know if that's, like, the best way to judge it. But I do feel like it either is going to need layers or a wash, which I'm not opposed to. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know if I'm liking it by itself. It is much more muted, though. It is pretty, though. It's growing on me the more that I move it around. That's awesome. Because I know some animals are really sensitive to, like, loud noises or motors. And so I wasn't sure if, like, maybe they frightened her and she stayed away from them, or if she was just like, huh, curious. What is this thing? And then just, like, watches it. She sounds like she's a very chill doggo. Which is my favorite kind of doggo. Like, don't get me wrong, they're cute when they're wild, but they're also big. And they can knock me over. Yeah, you know what? I think I like it. I still think I might put a wash on it, though. Oh my gosh, like standing on her hind legs so that her front is like, so that she's vertical. That almost just seems mean. Teasing her with bacon scent in the trains. That's great. That is funny though. Morgan, if you're still here and I did not realize I missed your question. I'm so sorry. I did use contrast paints for the skin. Absolutely. I used to have a dog that was German short tail lab mix. She was cute. I don't remember how tall she got when she was on her hind legs. She was... I don't know. I can't actually tell you. It was so long ago. And I did not see her for like the last 4 years of her life because I was in college. So I don't remember how tall she was. I want to say she, like, came up to, like, here on me when she was just, like, standing, you know? So, like, about, like, because I could do this. Like, I remember, like, not being able to, like, I could pat her without fully leaning over. So, I think she was about that tall. Also, for some reason, my cat is active. I don't know why. He got fed before I started streaming, so he should not be hungry. But, you know, I say he shouldn't be, and he decides when he's hungry, which is whenever he damn well feels like it. Yep, talking about animals, and then the kitty shows up. He has that way. He's like, what? How dare you not be talking about me and my adorable fluffiness? I am the most fluff. His winter coat's starting to come in, so he is really getting fluffy. Meow. There we go. Yeah, I do think I like it. My god, it's almost like they made a good orc skin color. And actually named it something kind of like relatable to orcs. What's this one called? Gut Ripper? Well, okay, never mind. It doesn't actually. If you don't know who the Gut Rippers are in, like, of the orcs, then you're probably like, what? But I do. You know, that's the other thing. I just want to go back to talking about the Warhammer, or not Warhammer, the Army Painter Warpaint Fanatic line. They're actually labeling them with normal names. Like, they still have their, like, bullshit name on the front or whatever, but on the side, they just go, like, light purplish pink. And I'm like, thank God. Like, it's a step forward. If only we could just start calling them those normally. That would be fantastic. It would just make my life and every other hobbyist's life easier. Please. Ultramarine blue is a real color. Just call it that. Like, GW can't copyright it. It is an actual word. Used by actual, like, paint companies. Just use the same goddamn paint labels. It's what all the other paint companies do. Why do miniature painting companies have to be weird? I genuinely don't know. I am using specifically right now some Citadel paint. I use a mix of both generally. I use both Army Painter and Citadel, but right now, these are contrast paints from Citadel. Specifically, this is Gut Ripper Flesh that I'm using right now. Thank you, Sean. I am also very pleased with how the figures are turning out. It's been a while since I've painted orcs. It's nice to get back to them. They are always a lot of fun because there's always tons of detail on these models. I love painting, like, alien flesh tones. Just, they're my favorite flesh tones to paint because I feel like they're easier to paint than human flesh tones. Good lord. Just by far. Human flesh tones are difficult. Why do we have to be so peachy? Why can't we have cool, easy colors to work with, like green and blue and red? Why can't we all just be very red? Don't you guys just want to be a demon? All right. Almost got all of his little digits. almost like he's got 5 of them. Oop, oop, oop. Nope, missed that. Missed that right there. Okay. I think that hand's good. I think that arm is pretty good. Do a little bit more into that crevasse. I can always clean up the bones, so if I get them a little greened, it's not that big of a deal, because I'd rather get the color in between them like it's supposed to, rather than not. Okay, I think we're looking good. Let's do this hand. I don't know why I skipped it. I don't actually know why I moved past it and didn't, like, stick with it, but we didn't. Hello, Diggs! Welcome! No worries. We're going to be going for at least another 45 minutes. Dim, it'd be easy. Like, that's the thing, is, like, we wouldn't... I feel like we'd care less because the colors would be so extreme. You see what I'm saying? Like, who cares? We'd all be very wildly different colors. I think it'd be fine. I like that. I actually think it would probably solve some of the problems, because then we could just be like, I think it would be better. It'd make it easier to paint everybody, okay? That's all I'm trying to say, is that it would just make everybody easier to paint. Painting peachy flesh colors of any color is very difficult, in my opinion. So if we could all just become aliens and start having cool color tones for our flesh, that would be lovely, thank you. Everybody get on that, okay? Make a deal with some sort of chaos god to change your flesh tone to be your favorite color. And then it'll solve all problems. We'll just all really look like the rainbow. We could be really cool, and we could actually, like, stand everybody up in rainbow formation, and we could create, like, the world's largest rainbow grid. How am I gonna paint your belly? With precision and patience. Wait. Oh, fucking hell. That's part of the jacket. I'm an idiot. It kind of had, like, pudge, like he just had, like, a fat belly. Get a bunch of water in there so it doesn't settle. I actually think I managed fine. Thankfully, this is a very pale green, so it's not gonna be that difficult to cover up. Alright, cool. Well, that at least solves that problem. I don't have to reach in that far to get to your belly, but I still gotta get in there. So, excuse me. Oh, Peter, thank you for the $10. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I am really happy to hear that my content has helped you out. If you ever want to share any of your content with me, please feel free to do so. If you're on Instagram or Twitter, just at me and let me see your posts. I'd love to see what you're working on. I absolutely love seeing what you guys are doing. So thank you so, so very much. You are amazing. Black and purple, that would be awesome. See, Aaron, I'm right with you. Like, I like painting orcs and I like painting demons specifically because I find them so much easier to work on. It's the same reason, like, where, okay, if you guys saw my live streams last month where I was working on all the Imperial Assault miniatures, my favorite ones were all of the aliens. Like, I feel like I got Hera's flesh tone and Zeb's flesh tone just so much better done than I did Ezra, Sabine, or Kanan. Like, I still think I did fine on their flesh, but, like, I have the problem where I start to make all flesh tones, like, look the same level of tan. And so it just ends up being very uniformed, and I'm just not very good at it. I just haven't figured out the best way for me to achieve what I'm looking to do in flesh tones, unless it's a very fleshy model. Like, the one time where I have been happy, like, explicitly happy with the skin tones that I painted on a model that were human-esque flesh tones was when I worked on the ogre that I did on the channel. That one is like the one time, and that was because he had so much like real estate of flesh for me to paint that it was easier to fuss with getting like the nuances of how like all of our skin has like so many actual varying colors. Like okay, just look at my hand on here, and I'm going to tell you what I see. I see a bunch of pinks. I see a bunch of browns. I see a bunch of oranges here. I see more yellows in here, but still kind of leaning into some browns. I actually see some straight up just like almost white pinks here. Like, there are so many goddamn colors in my bloody hand. And I feel like it's easier to achieve like this natural sort of organic look in non-peachy color tones, and I don't know what it is about it. Like, if somebody could just give me a like out of the bottle like flesh tone for like varying standard like flesh colors of varying like darknesses and lightnesses, I would eat that shit up. It would be amazing. I wouldn't actually eat it because you don't want to eat paint. Don't eat your paint. Don't drink your paint water. Don't put your brushes in your mouth. But like, you know what I mean. Yeah, see, that's what ends up happening for mine, too, is, like, they just get really uniform, and, like, it just... I've gotten some where I've gotten a little bit more of, like, darker flesh tones a little bit better. Like, I can sometimes get more variation there, because when I did my... So, the one other time I think I had decent actual variation in, like, the ethnicities of the, models that I was painting was actually when I did the paint schemes for the Cowboy Bebop characters from a Japanime Games thing that I had gotten. That, I think, was like the one time where I actually was able to vary up the flesh tones enough. And for that, I actually used the Master Series paint line, because they have a really good flesh tone line, actually. That's one of my favorites to use. But I feel like sometimes on, like, the scale, when they get really small faces, I just don't feel like I can get the detail. Like, that's my biggest problem. Oh, well, thank you, Sean. I am very glad that you are enjoying it. I think I've had that rant building up in me for some reason. I don't know. I got into it. Paint! Alright, let's get his neck. I'm gonna just kind of be sloppy here because I can touch up all the things that I don't want to be this color tone, and around his head, because he's got the bandana on, as well as just kind of got a lot of stuff on his face. Like, he's got jewelry in his ears, he's got, well, actually the bandana just kind of sits really low. But he's got a bunch of stuff on his chest too, and so we're just gonna make sure we get everything and not miss anything. That's the plan. And we'll just do some cleanup. I like the music that we've got today. This is great. Oh, very nice. Well, thank you for doing that. That's awesome. I have to ask, because, like, they've changed a lot over the years. What was one of your favorite painting tutorials of mine? And you can absolutely, like, decline to answer if you like, if you're uncomfortable with that, but I'd love to know. Like, which one did you find, like, the most useful, I guess? Well, let's phrase it that way. I'm actually currently thinking about bringing tutorials back a little bit more, but doing slightly shorter format ones, because I really, really enjoyed how snappy my latest Sherman Easy 8 building video was. Like, it was about, I think, like 8 or 9 minutes long. I felt like we were really snappy and it got everything across, but I was able to be concise and a bit more, like, fun and energetic. And I kind of want to try doing that with some, like, more simple painting tutorials, like starting off with even just doing, like, a Space Marine for the first time in a long time and doing, like, just a really snappy, short little painting tutorial. Oh my gosh, that's awesome, Deadbeat Dylan. 60 orc boys? That's crazy. I mean, I completely believe it. We are a mob faction, so I understand why you have so many, but I don't know if I could do that many in one sitting. Or, like, in one, like, batch group. I think I'd have to break it into smaller groups. I would just get overwhelmed. Like, mentally. Like, I don't know if I could paint 60 of them. I mean, I did, like, I had to do that actually with my Poxwalkers, now that I think about it. When I was painting them, because I was doing them in really big batches too. And I was like, oh my god, I had to do it in, like, groups of 10, I think, at a time, because otherwise I kind of got bored of painting the same. I mean, and thankfully the Poxwalkers actually had quite a few variations, because this is an 8th edition when they were new. And so, like, they had just redone them all. And they had, like, a bunch of kind of unique sculpts in a couple of different sets. And I was just buying up all bunch of different sets to get, like, all the variations and all that kind of stuff. Also, I just found the starter sets were a really good deal and an easy way to, like, really quickly build up my army if I just wanted to start off running, like, Poxwalkers and Plague Marines and then, like, a few Terminators, which is pretty much what I was doing anyways. So I was like, yeah, this works perfectly for me of learning, and you know, I can cheaply get these starter sets and just buy, like, 2 of them. And then I've filled myself out on all these great models and these units that I want. So perfect. I've still not painted that hand. How have I not painted that hand still? But yeah, I had to break the Poxwalkers into smaller groups. Ooh, Diggs, that's awesome. I can't wait to see. Oh, that's totally fine. Like, that's the beautiful thing about painting, is you can make it your own very easily, and whatever works for you is great because it works for you. Like, don't let anybody try to convince you you gotta do something a specific way. Now, I personally really love contrast paint, specifically because it flows in a way that I expect, and so I really like that about it. But I also have slowly been building up my confidence with normal, just opaque paints. It's just that in the past, partially because of, if you were here earlier when I was ranting about color theory, I never was able to really mix, like, I never really felt I was able to layer or mix my paints super well when I work with opaque paints. Whereas when I'm working with the contrast paints, I feel like my concept of layering them and blending them together just for some reason snaps into place better, right? But I've been growing in confidence with standard paints, which is why I'm looking forward to those Fnatic paints. But I completely get it. Like, dude, do what works for you and just have fun doing what you're doing. Because that's the part about this hobby that I think everybody should just focus on and, like, really enjoy themselves in the most, because that's what it's all about. Like, we're all here to create cool art, to show off to each other, and just have a good time doing it, and encourage everybody to get into this because it's such a fun thing to do, and it's honestly, I personally think, a really good outlet for stress, and also just getting your creative juices flowing. And then I think gaming, as just an aside, as a secondary part of this hobby, because, like, you can just collect the models and paint them if you want. That's great. But if you also do the gaming side, I think it really keeps you on your toes, like, thinking wise. Like, I think it makes your brain, and goes for any type of gaming, but in particular, wargaming and board gaming, or just strategy gaming, like, if you do with this digitally or tabletop wise, but, like, strategy gaming in particular really keeps your mind sharp because you're having to engage a lot more of your brain, and you're just having to think about a lot of different things. And that's why I really enjoy some of these more complex games that we see out there, both board game wise and war game wise. And that has been my TED Talk. Thank you for coming. Arr, swatches, exactly. The dreaded swatch. That's what I've been seeing, Peter, and I'm really excited to give them a try. Like, I wish the Army Painter had reached out to me about them, because I would have fucking, like, done an unboxing and been like, all right, y'all, are you ready to try these beautiful paints? And then we would have painted some stuff, and it would have been great. But sadly, they did not. Did I forget to paint the back of your ear, friend? Oh, no. Little orc. No. There we go. I fixed it. I fixed it. Your ear is painted. We would not want you to be without paint in your ears. That would be dreadful. How will you hear? Do you guys... Okay. How many of you... Put a hand in the chat if you have watched Toy Story. And if it's not everybody, I'll be surprised. But, like... How many of you think that our miniatures come to life in the same way that the toys in Toy Story come to life when we're not looking? Because I think they do. And I think they're aware that they're toys. Like, I think they're kind of, like, they're not Buzz. I'm sure there's, like, one or two, like, random ones that are maybe like Buzz who think they're really a spaceman. Just imagine a space marine, like, really believing, brother! But imagine that they come to life and they just, like, run amok. Like, like, that is the best. I want, like, my poor cabinets full of, I just shove all of them, like, together. It's so many, like, different factions. That's why I have to believe that they have to be aware that they're not, like, that they're playthings. Because otherwise, like, the wars that would legitimately be happening in this household are insane. Because I have Lego, I have action figures, and I have, like, painted miniatures. Now, I don't believe the miniatures come to life until they're painted. I think that's what gives them life. That's my belief. So these guys have been stuck in slightly living states, by the way, for, like, ages, because they're partially painted and partially not. So, is that torture? Am I torturing my miniatures? Have we turned this into a horror story? Probably yes. But you know what? These characters are all in the 41st millennium, so I think that fits. I'm gonna now paint the bloody hand that I keep skipping. Take that, hand. I need more paint. Take that. Can I just compliment on the, like, Kromlech on the fact that I feel, even over some of the more modern GW sculpts, that they define the fingers when they're gripping guns, I feel like a little bit better. Like, I just feel like there's more detail. I feel like I can see them more clearly. I think sometimes they, like, mush the fingers in GW sculpts if they're going to be kind of hidden and they're gripping, like, a handle of a weapon or something. But I don't feel like that's the case in this. That's not all the time, but I do think there are some models that do that. And considering these are just supposed to be, like, I'm pretty sure generic boys. I don't think these are fancy. Like, they have, I think, like, some special weapons, but I think technically the squad is just a normal, like, orc boys equivalent, okay? Like, 90% sure. And I just feel like sometimes you don't see that kind of quality always in, like, the basic troops for GW sculpts when it comes to their hands if they're gripping weapons. Oh, Oliver, that's awesome! How has the painting been going for your NIDS? Have you found it enjoyable? Was there any frustrations you ran into? It is a giant pile of ideas. I completely agree with that. You're gonna bar your room. Listen, they're not aggressive. Like, that's what I'm saying, is like they're aware of their toys. Otherwise, we'd all be dead, because they'd all, like, if all of these, like, if all of the Warhammer models, like miniatures that we painted, actually woke up at night and thought, we have to continue the war, if they actually believed their own fluff, we would be dead. They would have struck down with exterminatus. Like, let's be honest. We wouldn't have survived. They'd be like, this place is weird, it needs to be purged, and then they would have purged it. Because there's definitely going to be probably a disproportionate amount of Space Marines out there that are painted, I think, over possibly other things. I could be wrong, but I feel like popularity-wise, there's just more Space Marines out there in existence that have probably got some paint on them to some degree or not, and I just feel like they would have exterminated us. We do need a nanny cam to prove the theory. You're absolutely right. We got some gross pooling happening there. Let me just take care of that. Spread around. Let's see if we can enhance a few of these muscles by spotlighting. Like, what is happening here? What is happening with this muscle on his arm? I think you might need to go to a doctor, friend. It's fine. He's just a very big, strong orc lad. Dude, do you have a broken tooth there or something? Did I like not clip something well? I don't know what's going on. Oh, you're my cigar boy. Where's your cigar? Where did I put that? It's in one of the bowls. Okay. I know what's wrong with his face. He has like there's like a spot here, and I was like, what is, oh, you can't see, sorry, hold on. There was like so you see this like slight flat area right here? Like, you see that little circular flat area that my brush is circling? So that is where I think I broke off his cigar, which again is like my one problem with resin minis. Like, you do get some nice details out of them, don't get me wrong, but like, goddamn, are they fragile. Also, I don't think I painted his brow. Let's fix that. I have no paint on this palette. That's actually wet still. It's a problem. It's a slight problem. It's a slight problem from when you're painting. Excellent. I will totally check that out once we are done with the stream, and I've probably like taken a break and stuff. But I will make sure to check that out. Thank you for tagging me. I look forward to seeing it. Alright, I think that looks good. Need to finish painting his chin. I like was painting his face and I guess just stopped. Don't know how that happened. And then I think there's a little bit of his neck maybe that's slightly unpainted, or at least it kind of looks like it. Alright, that looks good. That arm looks good. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave him. He doesn't stand out that, like, much as weird next to, like, these brighter guys, right? Especially next to, like, him, because he's kind of muted, too. He's just a little bit more of a yellow-green muted. I like it. I think it works. Do I, though? His muscles are just not as crisp. Should I Bielton green shade him? Like, really, really thin? No! Well, hold on. Hold on. Hold that thought. Hold the Bielton green thought, because I just remembered I have Poxwalker shade, which is like a soft, it's not unmixed. Hold on. That's true. You're right. Breakage is a perfect excuse to kit bash. I think I have the cigar, though. Diggs, we'll see you when you get back. Peter, no problem. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. We'll see you next time. Alright, we're almost got this mixed up. I think this might be what we put over it. Do I have a test model available with some space on him? Ooh, you do. Oh, you actually even almost have Gutripper on you already. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put a little... I've just pulled out my Space Marine test model. He's almost full up on testable space, but there's a little bit right here on his gun. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit of this... I'm sorry, I just burped there. That was disgusting. I am gross. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna put a little bit of Gutripper flesh right here on this gun. And then I am going to overlay it with this Poxwalker shade once it's dried. And I want to see what that looks like, because I think it might solve my depth problem that I'm having. I could do it as a 50-50 wash. You're absolutely right. Orc flesh would work. But I think I want to try this Poxwalker shade, because I've not actually used it yet. I don't even know if I've opened this pot yet. What is it, boy? Meow? Jack says hello. When did I start this? At 4? So we've got about 15 minutes left. Buddy, I've got 15 minutes and then I'll come feed you. And give you your medicine. He's an older cat. He has some, like, medicine he's got to take. In the meantime, while I let this dry a little bit, let's come back over here to this fella, because we decided to use Flesh Terror Red. Do I want to use Flesh Terror Red? I'm gonna use Blood Angels Red. I'm gonna use Blood Angels Red on this guy's patch. That's what I decided. So let's do that. There we go. Hello, Valhalla Ice. Welcome. Ooh, nice. How are your ogres going? Have you got the new ones? Didn't they just release? Wasn't there like a new set that just came out or is coming out? Now I can't remember, but I feel like there was something new for ogres coming soon, right? Am I like off base with that? Tell me if I'm wrong. I decided that because it's ORKtober and I have not painted any orcs yet, that I should paint some orcs. So I'm working on these Kromlech orcs. Which, if you shop with Kromlech, by the way, I am an affiliate of theirs. So, if you want to save a sweet 5% on your order, let me just get you my code. Let me just plug my code real quick for if you want to shop with these people. If you want to shop with Kromlech and be one of the cool kids and save 5%, you can use KROM36837. All one word, caps for Krom. I don't actually know if that matters, but that's how I wrote it down. That's how they gave it to me, so that's what I've always used. And that'll save you 5% at checkout. You can find a link to them with the code in my link tree. So if you do want to go check them out, you can find that. There should be a link to the link tree in the description for this live stream. So if you're watching this on demand later, you can find it there. If you're watching it currently and you're in a little chat and you're like, oh my gosh, I absolutely need to go buy some of the orc stuff that they just released for ORKtober. Well, I guess it's not technically just now because ORKtober is almost over. But if you want to go get some of the stuff that they have available, you can save 5% with my code. So go do it. Go do it. Hello, Bob. Welcome, welcome. To glaze or not to glaze? That is the question. I agree. It is a good question to ask yourself. Let's not get too distracted and let all this paint dry and then get like weird splotches. Thankfully, the reds are actually really good about not being super splotchy. However, I do need to make sure that I actually get the entire patch and not just like half-ass it like I've done. So let's fix this problem, shall we? Arr, I need to close an eye so I can focus on the spot far away from me. Like a pirate. Arr. That's definitely why they have one eye closed. It's not because they have an eye patch or have lost their eye in a duel. That's looking good. Got a tiny bit more red to paint on this side. Please do not hit his glorious green flesh. That would be just awful. And then we will find a different color to highlight the stitching, because I do actually want to make this stand out. I like that Kromlech does that. They really make some prominent stitching on some of their cloth work, and I just want it to look cool. Now it kind of reminds me, like, now it kind of looks like he skinned a squig. Because it's a very thick piece of, I don't know, like, if you guys can tell here, let me bring it really close to the camera. So you see how thick that is? Like, it's a pretty thick piece of, like, material, right? So now what I imagined is he actually did is he skinned a squig. Like, one of the squigs from the herd that maybe ran with his clan died, skinned it, stuck the flesh on there. Maybe it was his squig. Maybe his squig died, and like his little pet squig or something. And now I've made it sad. Now I've made myself sad, and that's his like memento to it. With that sad note, let's go ahead and test. Let's go ahead and test this color, because I assume, yeah, it's dry. Jamie, I use a whole bunch of different brushes. Real quick to just run through. Right now, one of the ones that I've been using a lot recently is specifically, you wanna focus? There we go. I'm specifically using this Tamiya Modeling Brush Pro #1. You can find the item number there, which would probably be a really great way to search it and find this exact paintbrush. But one of the reasons I like it is it's got a really good tip on it. It keeps its tip very well. I do take very good care of my brushes. I've talked about this a lot in a lot of my streams and some of my videos even. I use a brush cleaner specifically. If a brush looks like it's starting to fray, the brush cleaner that I use it functions as a leave-in conditioner for the bristles. So if you're especially working with natural hair brushes or even synthetic mix brushes, it's really good because it helps reshape the bristles and helps prolong you keeping the point on your brush, which is very important. I think especially, like, it's important in general when you're just painting. Like, as a painter, you want to have a good tip on your brush, especially if you're trying to pull fine lines or, like, work in small details and stuff. But I think for miniature painters, it's also extremely important. I also, however, use the Escada. I've completely, unfortunately, rubbed it off of this particular brush. Do I have another one? Ah, here we go. So I also use very regularly, maybe, there we go, the Escada Parado. And this is a synthetic mix brush. They come in a variety of different sizes. I think this particular one is a size 4. I actually use a size 6 the most, but this is a watercolor brush. So it's a short handle watercolor brush. I think I got this at like my local art store. And again, I like it because the quality of the bristles, in my experience, has been very good. It's lasted me a really long time. I've had this particular size 4, which I use pretty often. And then I've actually had this is the 6, the one that I've worn off the text of. So I use this one like literally every time I paint, or almost every time I paint, and I have not changed this. I have not had to buy another brush, like another one of these brushes, in over a year or more, because I've been able to keep the bristles just in that good of shape. While using contrast paints, which can sometimes be a little harsh, I think, on bristles, because of how much they get absorbed into them and how much they can get up into the fennels. So you just got to keep good care of your brushes, but if you invest in a good brush like this, I think cost me like $30+ for like this one. So like these are not cheap brushes, the Escadas, necessarily. They're also not like the most outrageously overpriced brushes that I've seen out there, but they're also not super cheap. But they're also very high quality. So they've lasted me a long time because I've kept them in very good shape. I also have recently discovered, and this is not sponsored, although they have sponsored me in the past, and that's where I did get these brushes, so I just want to call that out. However, I do really actually enjoy this other Japanese company that I reached out to me at one point, and they're called God Hand, which also just makes me laugh because every time I think of them, I think of the God Hand from like Berserk. So I'm just imagining like the demons from Berserk, including Griffith in his like cool mask, producing paintbrushes for me. Okay, that's what I like. I get a sick pleasure from that. So, but I do actually really like their brushes. Like these little short handle brushes, they have a variety of them in various sizes with these really tiny like points. So when you're doing detail work, like if you're trying to paint somebody's eyes, or you just have like a very small, like delicate face or something, or just a really recessed area, they're really good for that. And they also have like these cheaper but like very interesting ones that also have like these sort of soft wooden handles, also God Hand. And these ones I like, but the handles I do worry like are gonna absorb too much water because they really show any water or paint that they've absorbed immediately. So I'm a little more mixed on those, but I do use it still very regularly. But those are like the ones that I've been using most often. I also, the one other one I will say that I use pretty regularly is just the classic, more recent Citadel synthetic line, which is like that white bristle. So they're synthetic shades, or they're just this white bristled line of paintbrush from Citadel. It's been my go-to for them as well. So those would I would say be like the 4 companies that I tend to shop with most when it comes to brushes. Ah, you think it's from Initial D? That could be. I could see that. Oh, there's one other brush that I do use very regularly. And this is specifically for dry brushing. I do use the Army Painters. Hold on. I do use the Army Painters like big fluffy round brushes for dry brushing very regularly, but God Hand also has some rounded bristled brushes for dry brushing that also work really well. So like depending on if you want to split between the two, you could just go with God Hand or you could do the Army Painter. These ones, the Army Painter ones, are nice because they come in a little nice 3-pack with a small, a medium, and then like this big fluffy one. So if you're looking for like just a good starter set of like, you've never really owned like a good pair of dry brushes before, the Army Painter does sell a nice little like conveniently priced packet. Not sponsored by Army Painter or anything. I just like their brushes. All right, let's do this test, and then we're probably gonna call it after I decide if we're gonna use it on our boy. All right, we've got our Splash Marine. Oh yeah. Yep, I think that's exactly what I wanted. Yeah, we're doing that. We're doing that. I don't even have to let it dry. I almost let it dry, let it dry. I just feel like now I need to change that Let It Go song from Frozen into Let It Dry. Something about paint. Parody of some variety. I have no singing voice though, so it will not actually happen. Don't get your hopes up, but I think it would be funny. Thank you, Bob. I also really like my sweater. It is from Blackcraft Cult. Sorry, I was getting it confused with the YouTuber. He does not have a brand of shirts like this. It is from Blackcraft Cult, which makes some really cute goth clothing. Valhalla, that sounds terrifying. I mean, you definitely. I mean, you can, but then you have to replace them pretty often, don't you? If you're abusing them like that, you're collecting money, beating them up. Give me my money. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do this. Let's not glob it on quite so heavily. And I really kind of just want this to go into more of the recesses to pop some of those details on him. Because I do like the very soft green that we've got for this flesh. I just think it needed a bit of an oomph, if you know what I mean. Yeah, this is definitely doing what I want. Now, I am spreading it pretty thin. Like, I do want still a fair amount of that yellower green to show up, but I definitely, it needed this, in my opinion. That's the thing also, like, for those of you who are, like, maybe like me and don't always have the most confidence in colors that you're using or anything like that, do testing. Don't be afraid to test your colors. Like, there's gotta be some miniatures in your collection that you just don't give a shit about, or you are okay with sacrificing, or will never use actually in something, and so why not use them as test subjects and just test your color options. There's nothing wrong with testing. I do it all of the time. And thank goodness I do, because there's definitely been some tests that I'm like, oh, nope, that doesn't work. There's also been a lot of tests where I'm like, oh yeah, that was exactly what I was hoping for. Like this green, for example, is pretty much doing what I thought, like what I hoped it would do. So I'm just pulling a little bit of the excess darker color off, moving it down, because I do still want a fair amount of that soft blue, or soft yellow green color tone. This really reminds me of a slightly more muted version of my original orc flesh, now that I think about it, because my original orc flesh was a combination of Plaguebearer flesh and then Bielton green shade. And this is basically doing, I feel like, the same thing, but with a much more pastel color tone, which I really enjoy. Alright, that's looking good. This hand. I think we need a little bit more shade. Alright, we've got that hand already, so we're good there. So I think we just have his chest and his face to do. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and call it, because we just hit 6 o'clock. I should probably go get some dinner. That would probably be good. I am, I think, a little bit hungry. And so, yeah. I agree, Gavin. Failures are our best mentor. And there's no shame in like trying something and failing, but that's why you do it on a test mini, to save yourself like the oh god, I just ruined my Abaddon, the spoiler, and I don't have a way, like I don't have a cheap way of replacing him, So, like, do a test. Use a test mini. That's one of the times where those are actually worthwhile to have. And you can even, like, just buy, like, really cheap, you know, garbage minis for that, too. If you don't have anything in your collection currently that you're like, I really just don't think I want to test on any of these. I like them all. I will actually use all these. That's fine. Go and just, like, buy some army men. Hell, if you want. And prime them. And test on that. Like, it's not, like, testing on something that's similar is nice, because it gives you a little bit of a better idea of, like, a little bit closer of an idea of what you might actually be achieving on your actual model. But, like, you don't have to test on something similar. You can test on whatever you want. So, go get some, like, dollar army men or something and test on those if you want. I don't know, it's just my suggestion. It helps the process, I think. I think we just need to get the back of his neck. There we go. And then the belly. It's the last thing we got. Okay. There's a little bit there, a little bit there. The shades settle in around the hook. And then a smidge right there. Okay. I like it. I think it ends up being a very pretty orc flesh tone, and I think it blends a little bit more. Like, again, he wasn't popping enough. And now I feel like he actually, like, you see the grooves of his hands more clearly. I think it was a good choice. Alright, I think that is where we're gonna go ahead. Yeah, no, primed army men, totally, like, a great, like, just, again, get something cheap that you don't care about, that you're, like, willing to sacrifice, and just use them as test subjects. Be like Sid in Toy Story. We'll bring it full circle back to our Toy Story concept. And use the army men as your beautiful canvases to test all of the colors that you want to put on your other army men who are more important to you. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I know we were a little bit later, but I think it worked out for a lot of you, so I'm very glad for that. Maybe I'll consider, like, switching around some of the times, depending, for future content. It would also give me, like, on Tuesdays especially, a little bit more time after we've launched a normal news video to, like, stay on comments a little bit longer. So, who knows? I'll keep you guys posted if we end up changing things, but let's see. What do we have coming up? What do we have coming up? This Friday, we are going to have another live stream. It'll probably be another painting live stream. We're either going to be working some more on my orcs, because I got their flesh done. I'm feeling good about that, but we have a lot to paint on these guys still, so we might still be working on them, but I also have been considering, and you might have seen me post about this on Instagram, I do also want to paint some more of my Battletech minis. Now, the main reasons I end up not doing that today, by the way, just for those of you that care, one, I'm out of primer for what I was using on my Battletech minis, and I want to keep them consistent, so I need to go get more primer, but I've had a little bit of a hard time finding it. Also, I had these guys pre-prepped, and I didn't have any Battletech miniatures pre-prepped, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's ORKtober, and I haven't actually painted any orcs yet. I should paint some orcs. So we decided to do that, and I'm very happy that I did, because I'm really, I love, never mind, I'm not going to show you that way. You can't see them properly. I like how they just turned into black masses. Look, they're moldy. They've got black mold on them now. Not actually. That's just my green screen effect, and I'm sorry. I wonder why it doesn't do that to my eyes. I never understood that. Like, my eyes are green. You can definitely tell that they're green, but maybe they're a little bit more hazel for the camera than they think they're green, so it just doesn't do anything. And also, like, the zombie head, actually, is also very green. Like, I feel like it's the same green as this orc, and yet this orc is... Actually, is this orc doing it? Okay, this orc is not doing it as much. So anything that has, like, that softer green color tone, it reads as much more of a gray, I think. and so it doesn't blot it out. But my other boy was getting blotted out. So we'll either be working on Orcs again on Friday or possibly Battletech. I'm hoping to do Battletech just because as much as I do love painting these lads, I want to get more of my own miniatures for Battletech painted so that the next time I go to one of the Battletech events at Games of Berkeley, I can use my own stuff and actually hopefully retain a little bit more of that information, because I'm taking those models and those like data sheets home with me, and it'll be just in my head a bit more, and I'm hoping that way the game will get like sort of stuck in there better, because I've been learning OG Battletech, like the full grid like classic system, and I haven't actually played with heat yet, but I want to. That's the next step in like my learning of this game, and I just feel like I'll remember it better if I'm using my own models and something that I put time and effort into. So that is my hope. So that will probably be Friday. And then Saturday I plan on doing something spooky game related, because I feel like it's Halloween season. We haven't played any scary games yet, so I feel like I want to pull something out that's a little bit scary, and that will likely be both Saturday and Tuesday is my like temporary plan for right now. So that is what I probably am going to be doing for the future when it comes to live streaming content. We've got some painting videos coming up. We do have at least one tutorial coming up for you, but I can't really talk. I don't really want to talk about it too much because that one's a sponsored video, so we'll save that for later. Although if you guys have seen like my Instagram post, you probably know what's coming, and if you're on Patreon, you'll definitely know what's coming because I'll be sharing stuff soon on that. So if you do want to help support me and you want to be able to chat with me and share me your projects very easily, you should join my Patreon, and then you'll get access to my private Discord channel, in which case you can show me all your works in progresses and all of your finished models, and you can show off your board game collections, and we can talk about wrestling and just like all the things going on in your life, your toy collections, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to join that and help support the channel, help keep us going, you're welcome to find a link to that down in the video description below. If there's not one specifically, you can find it in the link tree, because all of my socials and ways to support me are found in the link tree, so have fun with that. And I think that's going to be it. I'm done plugging things. I'm done telling you the upcoming schedule. Thanks for being here, everybody, and have a wonderful hobby night. I'll see you next time. Bye.